Hi, my name is Michaela Hackett-Bauer. Michaela Bauer is what I go by, and welcome. Okay, so who am I? Like I said, my name is Michaela Bauer. I am 26 years old. I am a band director in Oakley, Kansas. I teach primarily band 5th through 12th grade. This year we were not able to hire on an elementary music teacher, so the choir teacher and I are splitting that job. So I teach first and second as well, but just for this year. I've been teaching for a total of 4 years. I'm from Shawnee, Kansas originally. I did my undergrad in music education at Pittsburgh State University. Okay, so here's some pictures. Um, in the center here, this is myself plus my husband and then our puppy. We don't have any kids, we just have a dog, but he's like a kid to us. His name is Hank. Over here, this is a picture of my dad. Um, And then down here is a picture of my mom, my sister, and then her fiance. Again, here's a picture of Mr. Hank, our dog. And then down here, this is my in-laws. So my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and then my sister-in-law. Okay, so a little bit about me. I am extremely passionate about music. Like, I love music and I love teaching music even more. So I just kind of wanted to show you some pictures of myself. My undergrad, like I said, I got at Pittsburgh State University. My specialty is actually in saxophone, but if you know me, you'll know that I love to play anything but saxophone. Kind of one of those that I practiced so much in my undergrad that I kind of got burned out a little bit. Up here is a picture of my dog and Hank. I'm playing the flute and he's intensely watching. I also still kind of play in the community. I volunteer up at Colby Community College and play whenever the director needs me. I played bass trombone in one of her ensembles. Over here, this was at school. I'm playing the baritone. And then lastly, this is a picture of me conducting at a home football game. So here we go. Okay, so going on to the main homework. So this week's homework was about levels of government. So, what kind of support do the public schools at the following levels of government? So what kind of support do they receive? So I split it into the three sections. Local. So from my research, it showed that, local and state funding provide a huge bulk of it. They split about 92% of it. The local splits roughly a little bit more than the state. The state splits a little bit less. So for the local school district, this runs the day-to-day operations. This is through either an appointed or an elected school board. I know here, I can only speak for my school district, it is an elected school board. The school districts are formed and determined by geographically, by counties or parishes, broken up. School boards are in charge of funding the budget, and they typically do this collecting, property taxes on homes or business. So the next part is state. They are the primary oversight for public schools, but typically they choose to delegate to the local level, which is back to the school board. Some of the things they do is they work on the Common Core standards that were developed at the state level. So they generate the benchmarks for students, so what they should and shouldn't be achieving. Number two, additional standards are created for the following. So like they create the standards for science, social studies, arts, languages, English, so on. And then lastly, we have the federal government. The federal does the least amount of funding for school districts. They only fund about 8%. So again, a lot of that comes from the local and the state level. Programs that are funded from the federal government to schools are Department of Education, Health and Human Services, the Head Start program, and then the Department of Agriculture lunch program. Down here are my sources. So who is in charge of these various levels regarding education? So what are their duties and responsibilities? At the local level, the duties are the school board. They vote on daily activities and the needs that help to run the school district. At the state level, it's the Department of Education. They write the standards for the state and they adopt the Common Core standards. At the federal level, they have a couple different departments. So for the first one, the secretary and the department of Education. They work on ongoing dialogue on how to improve the education system for all students. So this would be like raising national and community awareness for challenges that are in education. So some of the things that are problems within the school district. Number 2, the Department of Education works on access and excellence for all students preschool through doctoral. So I remember one part in my reading for the homework, it had talked about how it's important that the education is provided from the absolute beginning all the way through and past a doctoral degree. So which ones are paid and which ones are volunteers? So local school boards are volunteers, and from what I could find, I kind of struggled with this. I saw that state and federal governments, typically they're paid, through agencies or their programs, which can also be funded through grants. So number 3, which level has the most power and control over the public education? Again, it's the state and the local, technically the state, but they typically delegate to the local. So, which of the 3 levels of government have the most influence over the standards? So, for 6.1, if I understood this correctly, each one of them to me showed that they had a different delegation. Yes, technically, the local school board, the local should be in charge of all of these, but I thought they could be broken down even more. So for 6.1, I believe it's local, which is done with school boards. For 6.2, I felt that was more for state, which is the Board of Education. And for number 3, I thought that was federal, so the Department of Education. Okay, how does all of this support the educational success and well-being of each student and adult? So, through a multi-tiered system, there's a balance between making sure that students are receiving the best education possible. So, I broke it down again through the 3 levels. So 1, at the local level, this helps to make sure that the immediate need of education is fulfilled for students and adults. So again, making sure that students who live in your community, whatever, how it's geographically broken up, are getting the education they need to be successful or that is required by the state. Number 2, level 2 is the state. This assesses the standards that need to be taught. So again, Common Core. And lastly, number 3 is the federal level. They make sure that the rights and special programs are available to those who need them. So this would be the Disabilities Act, making sure students who are on 504s and IEPs are getting what they need. Also, not being genderist, sexist to those, making sure everyone is getting an education. Okay, so here is for the correlation. How did this assignment demonstrate the correlation to the 3 CLOs selected for the assignment? So again, I went ahead and posted all 3 of them so you could see the definition, I could see the definition. And this is what I thought. The 3 different correlations are a balance between the 3 different branches of the educational system: local, state, and federal government. Each one of these systems is important in making sure that the student pre-K through doctoral are getting the support and funds necessary to fulfill their educational needs. So I like to think of it like a checks and balances system. If the one at this level is doing things right, then you shouldn't have a problem here or here. But if you have a problem starting down here, it could potentially spill over into the next and so on. So all 3, local, state, and federal, are very important how they run together and work together. So relevant. How is this assignment relevant to your current learning? What has been supported or needs to change as a result? So I said that this assignment helped me to better understand the local, state, and federal government and who helps to decide what factors happen in the educational system. I don't think anything needs to change. I just was better informed where I can find this information and where this information comes from. How did this assignment improve your understandings of the 3 levels of government and why? So I was able to understand better who has direct power versus indirect power of the 3 branches of government. This can be shown through a local government using a school board to help make daily decisions. Secondly, the state government working to set the standards. And finally, the federal government making decisions to make sure all are supported in their learning through government-assisted programs. Just like that. So reflection. Looking forward, how will this assignment change the way you teach and learn? This assignment has taught me that the decisions made in a school district come through a chain of command. This chain of command starts at a more local level, moves to state, and finally federal. You know, I talked to my building principal about this, and she was explaining to me, and I'm still a little hairy on understanding it, but I'm figuring it out, that, you know, what our school board votes on, board policy is actually given from higher up and taken down, and they have to approve and accept it, but then that can be separate compared to like what are our school policies, which are then have to be voted on and approved by our school board. So there's a huge chain of command system that I knew existed, but I didn't maybe know the verity of what it existed. How will this assignment influence the decisions you will make as a future school leader? Provide at least 2 examples. This assignment has taught me how to better understand how decisions are made for my school district. I will better know where to find the decisions for my school district, which is school board, local, and I am better educated on where to find my state standards for my school, which is the state. Here are my references, and that is all.